Hello there, YouTube. Devin here again. Now, I said it in a couple of my other older videos that I wouldn't do a lot of firearms. Okay, and I never said I wouldn't do any, but I said I wouldn't do many firearms, despite how many I actually own. But I'm putting a whole bunch of stuff together, and this rifle ties in with part of it for a specific project of mine. And a lot of you might notice right away that this is a Mosin Nagant, and you would be correct. But this is my Black Horse Mosin Nagant. This rifle has so much history behind it, and I own two of these. You might notice right away that it's not your standard Mosin Nagant. This is in fact a Finnish m39 Mosin Nagant. This one is made by VKT. The barrel is made by VKT. The receiver, though, is made in France, actually in 1895. It's made by Châtellerault. Early on, the very early Mosin Nagants were manufactured by France for Russia. And that's why I wanted to get this one. It's such a specific mashup. This rifle has so much history, and I didn't get my paperwork out for this. I should have, but this rifle started out as a Mosin Nagant 1891, an original 1891 made by Châtellerault in France and sent to Russia before World War I. In World War I, it served through World War I. At least the receiver did. The bolt is not matching to the receiver. It was later retrofitted to be matching, though, by the Finns. So just the receiver we're talking about here. So just this part, the hexagonal receiver here, was made by Châtellerault in 1895, and this rifle went on to serve in its original 1891 configuration, the 3-line. By the way, 3-line for rifle would be like so 30 caliber would be 3-line, because a line is like a tenth of a caliber or something like that is what it translates to. So 3-line would be 30 caliber. So would be, sorry, 10 a 10 caliber would be a 1-line rifle. So that's why you see Mosin Nagant 3-line. I get a lot of people to try to tell me that that's the amount of rifling that's in them. That's not actually true. It's the Russians' unit of measurement as far as caliber would go, would be 3-line. So it was an M91 3-line to start its life, which was much longer than this, and everything like that. It had a straight grip. As you can see, this one has a semi-pistol grip because this is updated. So it went all through World War I in the Russian hands and through part of the Russian Civil War, and eventually made its way into Finland. This rifle in its original 3-line Mosin Nagant M91 variation was left in Finland after the Civil War, and it was thrown into a warehouse because Finland could not afford to upgrade or make its own, adopt its own rifle. It's kind of poor. It's a new country here in 1917. So they decided to do, their biggest enemy at the time was also going to be the newly formed Soviet Union. So they stuck with the Mosin Nagant. In 1920, they updated their pattern. They wanted to start looking for a new version of rifles, realized they couldn't afford them, so like, well, maybe we can make some of these old 1891s better. So they upgraded the rifle, all right, to the 27 model. So it would be the 1891-27, as it would be known in Finnish service, and that was adopted by the Army, okay, which would be the SA. The SA mark on the barrel up here, I don't know if you can see it, is in this little square. That is the, stands for Suomi, which is what's known as Finland. Army, all right? And then there's the Home Guard, or like the national, their equivalent of the National Guard. Also came out with a different rifle in 1928, which was just a little tweaks. They kind of had that branch fighting, kind of like the United States has. And eventually, both of those rifles were continued to be made up until 1940, and they still fielded regular 1891s alongside both of those as well. And then in 1939, they kind of universally standardized. They took the best of both of those rifles and kind of shortened it down a little bit, made it kind of the universal short rifle size, fixed the sights on it, so now it has much better sights than the regular Mosin Nagant. You can, all these little notches in the ladder, if you could see here, are adjusted. They're all cut in meters because, of course, the Finns use meters. The Russians at the time of the original Mosin Nagant used arshins, which was the equivalent to 1 pace, which makes sense if you have a very uneducated type of soldier or citizen. Having a unit of measurement based on the pace is very easy because you could just walk out to a certain distance and have that as a marker. The Finns used meters, though, and you can see where, unlike the original Mosin Nagant, they're not super enthusiastic as far as their sights go. They don't start like the original Mosin Nagant at like 200 meters or 300 meters. It starts out at a very reasonable 150 meters, and you can ramp it up in increments of 25 meters. So all the way out to 1,000. There would be 1,000 meters at that sight angle right there, which is very optimistic. You're not going to do that. So they upgraded the barrels too. Most of these, the only thing that remains of the original Russian Mosin Nagant that this rifle was made out of, so, well, technically French Mosin Nagant that this rifle was made out of, was the receiver. At some point it lost its bolt and the bolt was replaced. The bolt has since then been remarked, though, 3477. I have a very late war-made one. So this one is either made right at the end of World War II or after World War II, because it is serial number 63,477. They did make quite a few 100,000 of these. The barrel itself was made in 1944. As you can see by the date there, the barrel is also 63,477. It is VKD, and it has a D underneath the barrel, underneath the VKT logo. Now, what that D stands for is that this rifle is optimized to use Russian ammunition. All right, so at the time, the Finns used the standard caliber, and going into World War II, all right, trying to refocus the camera here. Going into World War II, the Finns adopted their own cartridge based off of the Russian 7.62 by 54 rimmed cartridge, and it was 7.62 by 53 rimmed, and it would work in a Mosin Nagant, and it was basically just a Russian 7.62 by 54 cartridge that they got all the kinks out of. Okay, they streamlined it, improved it basically, made it a little bit better, and so, but when they found out that when they started making rifles and chambers and barrels to that caliber, the Russian ammunition that they started to capture in the Winter War in 1939 was not working as well in it. So they started remaking barrels that kind of had looser tolerances and chambers with looser tolerances to work with Russian ammo. So this will take both kinds of ammo. It'll take Finnish and Russian ammo because it has the D-marked barrel, which a lot of people don't know that that's on there for that reason. Now, this rifle is beautifully blued still. As you can see, there's almost no nicks in the wood. There's one little nick there. It has a post-war kind of green leather sling on it. I keep it in the side-mounted version of the sling, but the sling has dual mounting points, as you can see up there at the front, for both side or underslung mounting, and basically that was for 2 reasons. All right, the Finns used to have a ton of weird mounting variations on their rifles, and that was to compensate for the different kinds of troops they had. Jaeger troops, which would be on their bicycles and stuff, would side slung, and then you have ski troopers who would carry their rifle across their chest because you'd have a big backpack on and everything like that, and then you'd have standard infantry who would carry it normal, underslung, and eventually they just streamlined it to these 2 versions, and that was good enough for everyone, they found out. This has a heavy barrel on it. Another way you could tell these apart from the Russian ones is the front sight there. As you see, the front sight has these huge, massive wings on it. As you can see, these 2 big things that protect the front sight, whereas the Russian one will have the little circle, the front sight hood, rather than these big kind of dog ears that protect it. Another way to tell the Finnish rifles from the Russian rifles is this nose cap, this hinged nose cap, and the fact that the barrel is incredibly heavy. It's much thicker to maintain better harmonics and accuracy than a regular Russian Mosin, which is something the Finns really needed to have. So other than, the normal wood where you see the pistol grip, Russian Mosin Nagants will not have this pistol grip. You can find them with this squared off type butt plate though, and everything like that. A lot of these were upgraded to be anti-jamming in the receivers too, so you don't get rim lock. That's not really an issue as long as you're loading your stripper clips correctly and everything like that. They really polished out the triggers, so these have a nice crisp trigger. It has a 2-stage trigger. Now, for those of you who don't know what a 2-stage and a single-stage trigger is, I am actually a big fan of single-stage triggers. I like to have a nice, consistent pull and then break, whereas a 2-stage trigger, what it has a nice lead up, and then right when it gets kind of hard to pull, just after that is when the break will happen. It'll drop the firing pin and shoot. So, so these have a very nice 2-stage trigger. So I'll take the bolt out here for you of the rifle, and how you take the bolt out of a Mosin Nagant is you hold down the trigger. This rifle is, I'll show you there, empty and clear. So you hold down the trigger and pull the bolt right out. So here's your bolt. This is a original Russian bolt. It's marked there. It's 2 T's and that little thing. The Finns did this. The Russian ones will not have these serial numbers on the ball of the bolt itself. This bolt has seen better days. There's the star mark on it as well. And another T up here at the front on one of the locking lugs. So this bolt works just fine. It has a brand new firing pin in it, actually. I put a brand new firing pin in this bolt recently, and the reason I wanted to get this rifle out for you guys is because, for one, hunting season's coming up, and this is probably one of my favorite hunting rifles because it takes, for one, Mosin Nagant ammo, which is still readily available and cheap here in the United States. All right. And so this is a Mosin Nagant that doesn't suck, so you can actually hunt with it and shoot accurately with it, and it's a very ergonomic rifle to use. It is heavy, though, compared to a lot of hunting rifles, but that is going to keep your recoil down, which a lot of people don't understand, that you want a kind of heavier rifle because it's going to absorb all of that recoil. So this is my Black Beauty, as I call it, because it has a nice combination of different countries that have had their influence on this. It has 3 separate countries on it because it was made by a French receiver, and that just makes it kind of an odd man out. Now, you can find a lot of them with French receivers, and most of these guns in the United States are going to be CNR. Because most of the receivers you're going to find are going to more than likely be made pre 1899. This one, for instance, 1895, which means you don't really need to, basically just being able to pass firearm safety and a background check is all you need to own one of these, and it's a great rifle for that. So this is going to be my hunting rifle this year. And over my other one, because my other one needs a little bit of work on it, some TLC. My other one is actually not an M39. My other one is an M1891-28, so it is a predecessor to this rifle. And I guess they're a little bit more uncommon, but it's a lot longer, so I liked it more because it could reach out and touch. It had better ballistics than these ones, but I think I'm going to start liking carrying this one now. So it does need a little work. I'm probably going to clean it here after this video, and hopefully you guys... This is a general overview. I could go into way more about this gun, everything like that, and I really nerd out about firearms, but I've tried to keep these out of the channel. I'm doing this one as a format to see if you guys are interested in this sort of thing, to see if I'll do more gun videos in the future, or if I can do a better type of way for it here for you. So there you go. There's the cleaning rod. We'll go muzzle to back now. It does have front adjustable sight hoods. There's the side mounted sling. The beautiful, beautiful wood stock on this. Back to the nice machined rear sights. The nice still blued French receiver. Right. The great Russian bolt that is put in this. And all the way down the stock to the butt plate. So hopefully you guys like this video, and you subscribe if you like this sort of thing. If you have any questions on this particular rifle or anything else like that, I like Finnish gear. Finnish gear's awesome. Finland is one of the 2 countries militarily that I study the most, the other one being Switzerland. So any questions you guys have on this rifle, they're pretty much dried up now, but if you want a Mosin Nagant that doesn't suck, I'm not a fan of the Mosin, but I like this Mosin. This Mosin is great. The Finnish Mosins are the way to go. If you want a Mosin, you can't do anything better. If you want a cheap gun that's going to shoot reliably and well, here you go. But it's, in the end, I'm going to tell you guys, if you're looking for a Mosin that cleans up a lot of sloppiness, you still need to manhandle these. So like you need to want it to get that bolt open and to work that safety and everything like that, which is, you know, a thing that all the Mosins have. They haven't fixed that yet, so you got to be able to manhandle these to get it to work. So just so you know, that still hasn't changed. But as far as actually shooting goes, once you get past working that bolt, that monstrous, hideous bolt, this is an awesome rifle. So hopefully you guys like this sort of thing. You subscribe if you want anything like that. Maybe I'll do a taking apart cleaning of this video if you guys would be interested in seeing any of that. And I'll do my best to answer any questions. Please let me know what you think about doing these gun type review videos. And as far as everything like that, I tried to give you some of the history on this rifle because once again, I'm more about the history than the actual review of the item itself. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.